Let's see the video of the prayer that Peter Obi made that made Tinubu to be afraid. Hello guys, they say wahala be like what? Well, before we discuss this video, let me leave you to see the video. But don't forget to share and like for more people to see it, and follow my video.
And we will prove it to Nigerians.
Yes, Peter Obi has the evidence that he won the election and is now in court to challenge the wrongful declaration of Bola Tinubu as the president-elect by INEC. After all the frustrations by INEC, they demanded electoral materials from 12 states and the Beavers report. But as at now, INEC is here to provide all the certified true copies of the electoral materials they used in the conduct of the presidential election. This is the first evidence that what INEC did was an allocation of votes. Otherwise, why is it taking forever to provide the materials they relied on to announce the winner? Anyway, Peter Obi's team of lawyers had to make do with the little INEC gave them so they can beat the 21 days deadline for the submission of petition at the Court of Appeal. Now, let's see the prayers and reliefs they are seeking from the court. They had to cover all grounds and loopholes so as to make the case watertight. As you are aware, in our judicial system, the court sometimes can strike off a case based on technicalities instead of looking at the merits. Also, if your lawyers don't do their homework very well, especially in the release they are seeking from the court will not grant a litigant what he didn't ask for. Even if you have a good case, but unfortunately you're seeking the wrong reliefs, the court can't help you. It's not the fault of the court that you sought the wrong prayers or failed to prove your case. Number one prayer that Peter Obi and Labour Party are seeking from the court is the issue of qualification. They are asking the court to determine if Bola Tinubu was qualified at the time the presidential election was held, which ultimately affects the vice presidential candidate, as the Supreme Court ruled in the case of Bayelsa. Yes, many people are saying that the issue of Bola Tinubu's qualification was struck off by a court before the presidential election. But there's one condition that they forget to mention. The court ruled that the issue of qualification of a candidate for an election can only be brought to court by a co-contestant, which means that if someone is not a candidate in an election, he has no business bringing the issue of qualification to court. Bola Tinubu's qualification and indictment was covered extensively before the election. This is the reason he refused to attend any debate, and we made a video about one of them. You can check that video on the top right corner, or you can get the link in the video description after watching this one. Also, there's a detailed investigation made in a documentary by investigative journalist David Hundeyin. In that video, he made a deep dive into Tinubu's indictment in the United States and his eventual forfeiture of $460,000. All video links will be in the video description. Yes, this petition will be a very interesting one, and Bola Tinubu won't like all his past laid bare in court. His past is the main reason he avoided debates before the election and not speaking to the press. He doesn't want people to know his past, but this petition will expose him. Everything about him will be laid bare in court. And don't forget, he will not want to lie in court because he knows the consequence. Also, some foreign witnesses might testify against him in the court. And looking at the constitution about Tinubu's eligibility to contest, look at this section where it says, a person shall not be qualified for election to the office of the president if he is under a sentence of death imposed by any competent court of law or tribunal in Nigeria, or a sentence of imprisonment or fine for any offense involving dishonesty or fraud. Dishonesty or fraud is what we are looking at, by whatever name called, or by another offense imposed on him by any court or tribunal, or substituted by a competent authority for any other offense imposed on him by such a court or tribunal. So it looks like there's no way out for him here. Another disqualification they will rely on is the running mate, who was still a senatorial candidate in Borno at the time he was nominated as the vice presidential candidate. The electoral law prohibits that. Now to the second part of the disqualification prayer, which will take effect if the first part is granted by the court. In other words, if the court were to disqualify Tinubu, P2B's team are equally praying the court to void all votes recorded for Bola Tinubu because he wasn't qualified, so the court should void them as wasted votes, which is the normal thing to do. In order to cover all areas, a litigant has to demand the release from the court.
The Labour Party says it will challenge Bola Tinubu's victory in court. The party's Delta State governorship candidate Ken Pella has also been condemning Saturday's elections in the state. He also accused INEC of disenfranchising the people as they failed to upload results to the server. He says the exact motive was applied to the Senate and House of Representatives vote.
Places that used to return 100,000 return 3,000, 4,000, 10,000. The beavers walked to that extent. However, because the INEC chose, not because technology failed, not because there was no network, not because of any other reason, they chose to do what they wanted to do, giving room for results to be manipulated.
Happened in Okwari local government, it happened in Ndokwa West local government, it happened in Ndokwa East, even happened in Anyocha North. Places where either there was outright refusal to transmit the results and the results were falsified before they were being brought to the collation center, or several other irregularities. In different local governments, the form of irregularity is different. But in these local governments I've called, the results were apparently manipulated and we found out that the results are different. A lot of the results are different from what people collated, other agents have from their polling units.
Well, spokesman of the Obidati Presidential Campaign Council, Yunusa Tanko, joins us now in the studio. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Congratulations will still be in order considering the massive impact that the Labour Party made in the presidential election. But let me start with this whole idea of going to court. Your party says it's going to court. Ahmed Lawan, the Senate President, argues that there is no provision in the Electoral Act for the electronic transmission of results from PUs to INEC server, but electronic transfer. And we had Felix Moka here who said, look, the INEC actually went way above the call of duty to ensure that this election went well. What's your response to that, first
Did you
of
check
all?
section 60, section 5 of the Electoral Act? It clearly says that INEC can use this electronic means of device of actually transmission of results. The Beaver machine is very, very clear. It says the Beaver machine can really identify your name and identify your finger to know that you are the person that is actually voting. And at the same time, the Beaver machine has the performance function of transmitting or transforming the result to the INEC server directly. What that implies simply is that the machine is used for dual purposes and to transmit results. What is INEC chairman told everybody to the guy that the Beaver machine will snap this particular result and send it directly to the server. And then the question you want to ask is that at the point in which there were 3 elections, Federal House of Rep, Senate, and then the presidential election, this same machine or this architecture machine was due to transmit results almost instantly. People were started viewing the result of the House of Reps election and the Senate, but then the presidential election was missing. The same election on the same day. That created all kind of suspicion that we saw, and that made the whole processes a sham election, an unacceptable one.
Well, has there been any kind of data you got from the field that doesn't tally with what has been given?
Because our situation room, in collaboration with all other groups who are interested in making sure that we have a credible election, are able to collect all the results. We have all the authentic results. Don't forget, there are 16 or 15 political parties who run for the same elections, and everybody has one result or the other of that particular same election. And if you're having a clean and fair election, this result that belongs to every political party should tally with what INEC is sending to the server. It's simple. There's no any rocket science in it. What we are saying is that the process is flawed. It falls below standard from any imagination whatsoever. That is what we are challenging.
Now, with this challenge, I mean, of course, you do have the right to challenge the outcome of the election, but is it not a massive distraction from the battle that still lies ahead? I mean, the governorship election is around the corner, March 11, the next Saturday after this one. Can you pull off the same magic in places like Lagos, for example, and the other states that you actually made a very, very good showing?
Now,
can you pull off the same magic?
What we are doing right now is that giving hope to the hopeless, believing that yes, we know we won the election, and everybody knows that this particular process was flawed. But what we are saying at the same time is that we know that it's important also to win the subsequent elections, hoping that when we win the subsequent election, that will strengthen us the more to do whatever we are challenging in the process of court. So for all obedient and those who believe that there's a need for us to change the system should please go out en masse. In fact, if you are thinking that you voted on the 25th, now rethink that you are voting more better this time around, especially for the Labour Party. This is a very serious call because we need to change this system. We need to give hope to the Nigerian people that believe in that Nigeria can really move from the circle of poverty that we found ourselves.
And in changing the system, are you worried about your members that are going to the National Assembly staying the whole journey with the Labour Party? You have about, is it six? Elected?
Yes, there are even more going to come possibly, and we are having them, and they are going to toe the line of the Labour. That is why we need to be strengthened in all of the ramifications in the election to ensure that we have enough seats. As you think now, if you look at it, there's not going to be any control over the House. We will play a game changer in that particular assembly.
So your party is going to court. We've heard that much. When exactly is that? Have you set the ball rolling on that? And are you confident in the Nigerian judiciary